Not surprisingly, Triometric have an approach to this stuff. We provide solutions to these issues, and in fact, to some of the largest names in the online travel industry. And I'm going to spend a few moments talking about how perhaps we can assist, and then hopefully Alex is going to take you through a brief but live demo to show you a couple of simple scenarios of how this works in practice. First off, we supply technology and services. We provide monitoring solutions based on pretty much off-the-shelf hardware, and we augment that with our own specialized monitoring software. That's backed up with a capability to handle custom XML schemas and a support service that usually actually entails managing the system for you, so we're not adding, if you like, to your administrative burdens by putting this type of monitoring in place. Our key product is the Web Services Analyzer. It's a network-based system, so it sniffs the network to capture real traffic in real time. So there's nothing simulated here. This isn't some external agent simulation. This is your actual client traffic. And we're filtering that, and we're storing it, all the relevant stuff that is, for each and every single transaction, so at the individual transaction level. The system can be used to track inbound, so let's call them client or customer requests coming in to our main shop window side of our business. But equally, it can be deployed on the other side of the business, when we're making requests out to third-party suppliers for additional inventory, etc., etc. Because it's network-based, and we're using a read-only copy of the network traffic coming off a switch, it has absolutely zero impact on the performance of your live service. And we don't put anything onto the servers that are running your live service. So it doesn't matter what the platform is that you're actually running, we're not going to impact it at all. The focus is on monitoring at an HTTP level. So that means it can actually cover websites if you need to look at that stuff, web services, and also other enterprise applications that you might have operating within your business. All of those things could be covered off. In fact, Triometric have quite a number of verticals they would cover in that area. Overall, it's an enterprise class product. So I'm not going to really focus on the architecture of the product. I think, if anybody wants to sort of understand a little bit more about how it all works, I'm very happy to sort of have offline one-to-one type conversations about how it would fit into your specific environments, etc., etc. So I just thought I would focus on really some of the key features which are on the more visible side of the product. So really what we mean is the reporting side. Reporting is all done through a web-based interface, and Alex will show you that. It offers things like near real-time reporting and dashboards. Again, we'll see some of that. One of our key customers is GTA. They actually use this technology to run 2 large plasma screens in their operations center. And they have dashboards up there giving them a real-time view of what's going on. The information we're gathering is actually very detailed. So you can start, at these high-level dashboards, and you can drill right down to the details on an individual transaction. So this is providing you with a complete monitoring and diagnostic capability. So it's the sort of thing that would underpin the sort of best practice we talked about a little earlier. You can set thresholds basically on any metrics that we collect, and you can get emails off the back of those alerts to let you know about any warnings or breaches regarding your SLAs. And we just released a new version 5.8, which is already out there in the field. That includes a capability to support rapid customization, support for custom XML schemas. So we have the ability to prototype your custom XML schema very quickly, so we can start to do some extractions, and that gives you the opportunity for quick wins in terms of actually digging out some of this information and seeing how it can work in your environment without much effort, and that's very important. In terms of data, we actually manage data at different levels, so the data arriving in the system will be summarized, and Alex talk probably a little bit more about this stuff for some of the key reports, but obviously also you can drill right down into some raw data. Types of metrics we're talking about here then. A lot of basic things like request volumes, so inbound and outbound over time. You can obviously break those down depending on sort of the IP address, source IP addresses, agent codes, various bits and pieces. Because we're monitoring at a network level, we're actually tracking the end-to-end time, so that's the time from the client initiating a request, arriving at you, your server processing that request, generating a response, and then transmitting that response right back to the client. We have visibility of that entire round trip, and we can break it down for you. So that's quite important. But obviously also we can understand which machines are being hit, which URLs are being hit, and we can track all the various errors. We saw a couple of charts earlier on looking at TCP and XML level errors. So really quite a wide range of stuff. Then if we get into the XML side and we actually start doing extractions, so we've got a set of XML Derived Metrics. This includes things like the request type. It could be searches, it could be availability inquiries, it could be bookings, it could be modifications, those sorts of things. And then also the response side of things, how many properties or whatever we responded with, what was response to the cancellation, etc., etc. We can track things, and again, we'll talk in much more detail about the stuff in the next webinar. But what agent or client is up to what their experience is, how the XML information has flowed, whether there are any errors. We can also look at, and I think Alex might show you a little bit of this today, if we're working with third-party suppliers for particular brands or products, then we can get visibility on how those have responded to requests and dig in right in there. And then lastly but not least, we have the capability to do some raw XML recording for auditing purposes. And typically we might keep that type of data around for, it's actually a very large volume of data. So it really depends on your appetite for that kind of volume, but typically we might keep it around for say 48 hours in its pure raw form for all requests. And that gives you, a diagnostics capability to drill right into the individual transaction and to the content of that transaction as raw XML, not just the KPIs. We keep the KPIs for much longer, typically a year or plus. It also gives you the ability to, onboard new clients, understand what's going wrong if they're struggling. But then, in a business as usual context, that raw XML can be extremely useful. And if you're actually retaining it for longer than 48 hours for things like bookings, modifications, and cancellations, it gives you a great feel for how all that stuff has gone on. It gives you an audit trail. And if you have, an unfortunate circumstance, and it does occur, where there's a bit of a discussion goes on about, who said what, when, then you actually have what I call the irrevocable evidence, which you can share with the client or the supplier to say, look, this is what actually happened. Can we agree on it quickly and move on? And that makes a lot of sense for everyone.